I didn't realize how dysregulated my nervous system was until I discovered breathwork. I first discovered breathwork about 30 years ago. Around that time, I was experiencing a lot of stress and had no idea how to settle my nervous system. Somebody recommended yoga to me, and at the time, yoga wasn't anywhere near as popular as it is today. There weren't a lot of places or gyms that offered any kind of yoga classes, but I found a place that I could go to that was about 20 minutes drive from where I lived at the time. And started taking yoga classes there, and it made a huge difference. One of the things I learned while going to those classes was this alternate nostril breathing where I can't quite remember how to do it now, but you breathe out of one nostril and then alternate and breathe out of the other one. And it's a fantastic way to regulate your nervous system. I'll create a future video about it once I refresh my memory on how to do it. But there's several other ways that you can do breath work that have the same effect. But what I noticed after class, after practicing this form of breath work, is that I felt really calm. I felt really good afterwards, which was hugely beneficial at the time for me, considering how I was feeling. Just to be honest with you, I had not long been out of the hospital. I actually had been hospitalized for several days after a nervous breakdown. And so that was when I took up the yoga classes as part of my recovery. And yoga was a big part of my life for many, many years after that. I don't practice it now because I had an injury, to be honest. And so there's some other things that I do to regulate my nervous system, one of them being EFT tapping. So the reason why I bring this up for women over 50 is that when you're going through perimenopause and menopause, nervous system regulation is extremely beneficial. And also at this stage of our lives, we've accumulated a lot of stress and trauma. And regulating our nervous systems can help us deal with life, the day to day, the changes that might be going on, losses, whatever else you can think of that might be causing you stress. And willpower and mindset work alone is not going to solve the issue. You need to release all this stress from your body, this trauma from your body, and train it to respond in a different way. So, to give you a little explanation about how breath work works, we have this vagus nerve, not vagus as in gambling, but this vagus nerve that runs from our brainstem all the way down to our digestive system. And it controls the parasympathetic nervous system. So your fight and flight response. So when you do breath work, it calms this fight flight response and just signals it to relax. And it can work pretty quickly. The great thing about it too is that if you're in a crowded area, you can easily practice breath work and nobody's going to look at you sideways. Tapping, on the other hand, which I mentioned in a previous video, is one of my favorite ways to regulate your nervous system. You can't always do that in a public place. I mean, people do it, but you might not feel comfortable doing that. Breath work, however, depending on what it is you're doing, you can do it on an airplane, before a meeting, and nobody's going to know. So I'm going to share with you a couple of different breath work exercises. The first one is box breathing. So essentially, you breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, release for a count of 4, and then hold for a count of 4. And that's why it's called box breathing. So we just breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. So that wasn't a perfect demonstration, but you get the idea. And you can do that for 2-3 minutes. It'll make a huge difference. especially if you're trying to get to sleep at night. Try it and see if it helps you. If you're sleeping next to your partner and they're already sound asleep, they probably won't even notice you're doing it. But if you're staring at the ceiling, which is a frequent thing, and a pause, then this is one way that you can get yourself to fall asleep. The second exercise is 4-7-8 breathing. And I first learned about this through Dr. Andrew Weir. I don't think he invented it, but I think 20 or 30 years ago, I read one of his books and started practicing this form of breath work, this breath work exercise, and found it hugely beneficial. So again, you just breathe in for 4, hold for a count of 7, and then breathe out for a count of 8. So let's try and do that now, and I'll try and show you my fingers as I do it. So breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. And that's one round. So you can do that for 2 or 3 minutes as well. It's another one that it'll help you to chill out. It really will. The last one that I want to share with you is humming. It directly engages the vagus nerve system. And you probably recall doing this as a child. Gargling is also a good way, but just humming for 2 minutes. So let's just try that now. So we breathe in and then hum. Mm. And you keep doing that. You take another breath and you hum again, and you can feel it stimulating the vagus nerve. So that's an excellent way to, that might not necessarily be one that you want to do in public, but if you're in the car and you're feeling anxious about going to work or going to a meeting, that's a great exercise that you can practice. So the changes I noticed after I started doing breath work were I just felt a lot more calm, a lot more centered, a lot more focused on tasks at work, just overall a lot more joyful. So I encourage you to give it a try. If you don't already practice breath work, this is something that will help you if you are about to embark on a major change in your life. And breath work enhances any other type of emotional regulation work you might be doing. So EFT, for example. And if you're familiar with EFT, we always talk about taking a deep breath, letting it out. And then at the end of our tapping session, we might take a deep breath and let it out as well. Just, it's all part of the emotional regulation of our nervous systems. And if you're here because you're interested in identity shifting, emotional regulation, breath work is extremely helpful for adopting a new identity. So for example, let's say you are trying to embody a millionaire identity and then you freak out the next time a bill comes in. That is not in alignment with the millionaire identity. So what you can start doing, and your nervous system is going to understand the more you do it, the more it will just do it automatically for you, is that when you open up that bill, if you know that your typical reaction is to freak out, you can just practice breath work before you open the bill. And just, maybe repeat some mantras like, I'm safe, I am supported, I'm getting through this, something like that. And it will help you to embody this new millionaire identity if that's something you're engaged in right now. So I encourage you to adopt one of these breathwork practices, whichever one tickled your fancy while you're watching this video. Just give it a try. Do it on a regular basis. Maybe schedule time in your day every day to practice breath work for 5 minutes. It'll make a huge difference, especially if you try it before bed. It should really help you with getting to sleep at night. So that's it for today. Let me know in the comments if you've tried breath work before and what your favorite practice is. And don't forget to just subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.